There is a task on your list. It has been there for 3 days. You know exactly how long it would take. You even know, deep down, that the moment you actually start it, it will not be nearly as bad as you think. And you are still not doing it. So instead you checked your phone, you made a coffee you did not need, opened a new tab, you closed it, and somehow 40 minutes just disappeared. Sound familiar? Here's what nobody tells you about procrastination. It is not about the task. It is not about time management. It is not about discipline or motivation or how badly you want it. It is about something much older, much deeper, and much harder to argue with. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your brain when you avoid something, the way you see yourself completely changes. Because your brain is not avoiding the task. Your brain is avoiding the feeling it predicts the task will produce. And that is a very different problem. Psychologist Timothy Seikel at Carleton University spent decades studying exactly this. His conclusion is blunt. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation problem. You are not failing to manage your schedule. You are managing your emotional state successfully, just completely in the wrong direction. Think about what actually happens the moment you think about the task. Your brain does something almost instantly. It runs a prediction. It reaches into memory and pulls up every association it has ever built around this type of work. The boredom you felt last time, the frustration, the moment you felt stuck and did not know what to do next, the quiet, creeping sense that you might not be good enough to pull it off. Your brain gathers all of that up and synthesizes it into an emotional forecast, a prediction of how this is going to feel. And that forecast activates your amygdala, the threat detection system, the part of your brain that does not care whether the danger is a predator in the grass or a spreadsheet on your desk. To the amygdala, dread is dread. And its response is instant. Get away from this. So you do. You pick up your phone, you make the coffee, you find something, anything, that gives your brain a way out. And here is the part that makes it so hard to fight. The avoidance actually works. The moment you choose relief over the task, the aversive signal drops. Your body relaxes. Dopamine ticks upward, and your brain quietly files that result away. Avoidance worked. Good. Remember that. And just like that, the loop is set. Not because you are lazy, not because you do not care, but because you accidentally trained your brain, one escape at a time, to associate this task with threat and avoidance with reward. Researcher Fuskia Siroa at Durham University confirmed this in her work on chronic procrastination. People who procrastinate do not have weaker goals than people who do not. They have the same desires, the same ambitions, the same understanding of what they need to do. What they have is a stronger learned connection between effort and anticipated pain, and a stronger learned connection between avoidance and relief. The brain is not being irrational, it is being completely rational, based on the data it has collected. It learned this task feels bad. It learned escape feels better. But here's exactly where it is lying to you. The prediction is almost always wrong. Psychologists call this the impact bias. Your brain is systematically, reliably, dramatically wrong about how bad the experience of doing something will feel. Study after study proves it. People consistently overestimate how awful a task will be before they start, and consistently underestimate how manageable, sometimes even enjoyable, it feels once they are actually inside it. You have lived this. You avoided something for days. You finally forced yourself to start. And within minutes you thought, wait, this is actually fine. The dread was real. But the dread was not a report of what the task was like. It was a prediction. And the prediction was wrong. Every time. But your brain does not update on this. Because the relief of avoidance is immediate. Certain. It arrives right now. The correction of the prediction only arrives after you have already started. After you have already pushed through the hardest part. And your brain weights immediate, certain rewards far more heavily than delayed, uncertain ones. This is not a flaw. This is an ancient feature. On the savanna, the animal that ignored the immediate predator to chase a distant, uncertain meal did not survive. Responding to what was right in front of it, is what kept your ancestors alive. Your brain inherited that wiring, and now it is applying it to your inbox. There is a second layer to this, and it is brutal. Neuroscientist Elliot Berkman at the University of Oregon has studied the role of the prefrontal cortex in self-regulation. The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for long-term thinking, future planning, and overriding immediate impulses in favor of what you actually want. The problem is that the prefrontal cortex is the most expensive system in your brain. It requires sustained energy to stay online. And when you are tired, stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, or depleted in any way, it is the first thing that goes offline. This is why procrastination is worst at night. This is why it spikes when you are already stressed. This is why the hardest task on your list feels most impossible exactly when you are least equipped to deal with it. The states that make the task feel most unbearable are the same states that disable the only brain system capable of overriding the avoidance response. Your brain is not lying to you out of cruelty. It is running old software in a new world, and the new world is specifically designed to make avoidance as easy, as instant, and as pleasurable as possible. One click, one scroll, one notification. The relief is always right there. So what actually works? Not motivation. This is the biggest myth in productivity. You cannot wait to feel motivated before you start. Motivation does not arrive before the task, it arrives during it. Research consistently shows that the brain generates motivation in response to engagement, not in anticipation of it. If you are sitting there waiting to feel ready, you are waiting for something that only shows up after you begin. Motivation is a trailing indicator, not a leading one. What actually works is something called implementation intentions. Psychologist Peter Gollwitzer at New York University developed this concept after years of research. The idea is simple. Instead of telling yourself you will do something, you create a specific, concrete, if-then plan. Not, I will work on the report today, but when I sit down at my desk in the morning, I will open the document and write one sentence. The specificity matters. It removes the decision point. It removes the moment where your brain has to generate willpower. It just executes a pre-programmed response to a cue. Studies show implementation intentions increase follow-through dramatically compared to simple intentions. What also works is shrinking the entry point. The reason starting is the hardest part is because starting requires your brain to move from a resting state to an active one. And that transition carries the full emotional weight of everything your brain predicts about the task. But if you make the start small enough, the prediction cannot attach itself to it. You are not doing the task. You are opening the document. You are not writing the report. You are writing the first sentence, not the first paragraph, the first sentence. The entry point is so small that the amygdala does not flag it as a threat. And once you are moving, once the engagement begins, the momentum often carries you somewhere willpower never could. And finally, an understanding, because shame makes this loop significantly worse. Every cycle of avoidance followed by self-criticism adds another layer of aversive emotion to the task. The task already felt bad. Now it also carries the weight of guilt about having avoided it. And the next time your brain runs its prediction, that extra weight is included. The forecast gets darker. The avoidance gets stronger. The loop tightens. But if you understand what is actually happening, if you can see the mechanism clearly, something changes. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not uniquely failing in a way that other people are not. You are running an avoidance system that was built for a different world, encountering a type of cognitive demand that world never produced. In an environment specifically designed to make escape as easy as possible. And once you can see that, you can start to work with your brain instead of being defeated by it. The task has been on your list for 3 days, not because you cannot do it, not because you do not want it done, but because your brain ran a prediction, got it wrong, chose relief over discomfort, and then did it again and again and again. The prediction was wrong the first time. It is probably wrong right now, and the only way to prove it is to start.